Hello and welcome everyone to Five Star Conversations in the Sun City. Super happy to be here. And we have an incredible conversation for you today. Today, my guest is a fellow classmate from UTEP, University of Texas in El Paso. And I'll get more into that here in just a moment. But let me just introduce you a little bit about her. Her name is Josette Pelatan. PhD. She is a multidisciplinary scholar, a creator, and a visionary redefining what it means to lead with purpose. Holding multiple degrees and certifications and recognized through numerous scholarships, awards, and honors across fields, she thrives at the intersection of science, education, and storytelling. Currently, she is boldly juggling a principal certification while producing a film and documentary, refining her recently published books, launching a mental health nonprofit, and advancing a long-term entrepreneurial initiative aimed at reshaping education through health and wellness-centered models, which of course I love. We love that over here at Five Star Conversations. Driven by curiosity and impact, Josette is also actively pursuing collaborations with universities on a medical research proposal focused on demyelinating disease. Her work challenges systems, bridges disciplines, and inspires new ways of thinking, learning, and healing. I am so excited to bring her on. So everybody, please welcome Josette.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Michelle. I'm so excited to be here.
I am so happy that you are here too. And, the way that we met was it really like, there was this, how do I want to say it? There was a slight percentage of a chance that we would have never connected. Okay. And this is why and there's a reason why I'm bringing this up. And I know, of course, the other day, we were supposed to have a conversation and I had some technical issues, whatever. But later that day, you and I were able to connect and we, tested out the equipment, but ended up talking for like an hour. So I'm so glad that happened because everything happens for a reason. But what I want to tell everyone, and welcome in everybody, wherever you're watching this from, whether LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube, we're happy to have you. Feel free to leave any comments in the comment section, of course. But anyways, the reason that I want to highlight this for Five Star Conversations is that you and I were in an entrepreneurial mindset course together, but it was a hybrid. So some people were like online only, and then some people were in the classroom. And you were one of the people that were online. So I didn't get to meet you in the classroom. But where the reason that I was able to get to know you before I really got to connect with you was because because Ben, our instructor in the entrepreneurial mindset class, had shared a podcast that you were on LinkedIn. And because I was on LinkedIn and I saw the podcast, I'm like, oh my God, everything you're talking about, absolutely. I need to get you on to the Five Star Conversations. So I just wanted to say that I'm glad that I listened to that, prompt from spirits, from the energy that I felt your vibration. I was like, okay, you care, you really are a passionate person. You've been through some things and you're pressing on. And we'll talk a little bit about resilience and your take on that here in just a moment. But I just wanted to say I am so glad that we have been able to connect after the class, and what a blessing. So thank you so much for being here. And tell everyone a little bit about yourself right off. Like, what would you like people to know?
Thank you, Michelle. That's the tough question, right? Because on my Facebook profile, for instance, my bio is human. And that's what I think I am, just beautifully flawed, like all of us.
Yes.
A work in progress, hopefully also like all of us. What can I tell you? I took that class because it was free for students, and I had registered for the semester in the certification program without being able to afford paying for it. And so I took at the same time the opportunity to register for whatever else was free out there because I have so many dreams and so many things I
Yes.
want to achieve. So everything that was falling into place on my calendar were like, oh my goodness, I didn't know I could get that for free. And I need it right now at that moment in my life. perfect timing.
Yeah.
On
How did you find out about it? Did you find out about it through the email, through UTEP email, or how did you find out about the entrepreneurial mindset class?
I think I saw a flyer and it was exactly what I needed that day, which is I have a vision of creating a school system, which is why I'm doing the principal certification program. And
Yeah.
I also have a vision for a nonprofit, for many things, but I don't
Yeah.
have a business background. And so I was kind of manifesting it. And I guess within
Yeah.
48 hours, it came in. And so I reached out to Ben and I told Ben, look, I really want to do this, but I don't have a car. And I see that some of the meetings are required to be face to face. How can I work around this? And so it's very
Right.
important to not ask, can I ask? Can I work around this? It's how can I work around this? Like I'll do the work because I'm so passionate and driven. And so we figured it out. I'm so happy, so thankful.
And I am too. And I will say that, like, so we had these, like most, people, if it's been a long time since you've been in university courses, pretty much all of the homework assignments are turned in online anyway, even if you have in-person classes. Like now I'm a non-traditional student, so I'm 44 years old. So I'm just, going back to school. So, but I did start school probably like 10 years ago, and it wasn't like that. We used to take, I remember even like 10 years ago or so, like we would bubble in, like you had what are those things called? The little circles, you take, I can't remember what it's called, but it would be like a long slip of paper and it'd have like A, B, C, and D. You have to circle them in and you'd have to use a pencil. You know what I'm talking about?
The
Scantron.
We're the
Yes.
same generation here, so.
Okay. But so we used to have to do the Scantron, but now everything is online. So even if you take the class in person, you still are uploading everything online today. And so one of the things that already immediately stood out to me about you, and I already knew, like, okay, I like how she's engaging, because we had these conversations that we would have to have, which a lot of times they do that also in class, where there's like a discussion board is what they call it. And so they pose a couple questions, and then each student has to answer the question, and then we have to go and respond to somebody else's answer. And your answers were always so thorough, so well thought out, so full, where some of the other students, like some students, it can be kind of difficult for some people to really to go deep, but you would always have such well thought out answers. So I recognize that, and I could see that shows like you were in it,
Thank you, Michelle. I learned so much from you. You don't know it.
I did too.
I learned so much from you.
From me in particular?
Yes, of course.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, you're complimenting me on my answers. Did you see your answers, Michelle? They were amazing.
You know what? But and to that point of being non-traditional students, I think, when you go back to school, and I do want to encourage, I hope that our conversation may encourage people that are older to go the value of going back to, being in university, because we bring a different energy to the information, because we have more lived experience than the traditional students that come right out of college. But also their youthfulness and their hopefulness is very inspiring to us at the same time.
Again. Oh, there you go. Okay.
Oh shoot, what happened there? Did I lose you again?
Yes,
okay.
For maybe a second.
Okay, so what I was saying is that that the youth, that there's something beautiful about the youthfulness of the young people, kind of like it's inspiring for us, and then they get to learn something from us. So they always say in life and in business that new blood is the lifeblood of the business. That's what I've kind of heard, which is kind of like savage, but
it's a little bit ageist. I mean, we do have some issues to address here. But yeah, you're right. I mean,
what do you mean by that? And I think this can actually go into.
Right. Well, ageism, it's that assumption that people are only good for certain things at certain ages, right? Which isn't
Mm,
true. You can learn
yeah,
from an 18 years old who's very good at what he does technology wise, and you can have an amazing entrepreneur that has never done this and who's 65. We should be
true.
that open because there's always something out there to learn from each other.
I absolutely agree. And so, speaking of, when we were having our conversation a couple of days ago, and it was so interesting, and we had so much in common, which I really appreciated. From Carl Jung to the what is it, the three initiates the three initiates in the Kabbalion, like just to the Bible, to spirituality, to psychology. These are all things that we were discussing. And so I was sharing with you, there was this little snippet that I had heard um, uh, that day. And I said, I want you to hear it. I think that you would like this. And it was a woman that was talking about resilience. And she was talking about the intersection the in between. She called it, I think she called it the learning space, is what she called it. She was talking about how when you're trying to learn something, no matter what age or whatever, when you're trying to learn something, you start at a place of ignorance. You don't know. You want to get to a place where you know, and then in between is the learning space. And so I really appreciated that. But I was surprised when after I showed you that, and she was talking specifically about resilience. And I was surprised after I showed that to you that you talked to me a little bit about your dissertation, which is, first of all, can you explain to everyone that may be watching this or watching this later, what is a dissertation? Maybe everyone doesn't know what that means. And then and explain what a dissertation is, and then what yours was, and then we'll go from there if that's okay with you.
Sure, a dissertation is your final work from the PhD. And so it's kind of like the thesis for master, but it's for the oh, you disappeared and now I am alone on the show. Oh my goodness. There you go. Oh my goodness. Michelle, you disappeared for a second.
No, I'm sorry. When I expand you while you're talking, it's just to get
Oh,
if you
got
look at
it.
and that's okay. We're learning. If you can you see me at the bottom as well of your
Yes,
screen, like.
I can. I just thought it was an internet thing. I'm so sorry. You do your thing. I got it.
No, don't apologize. Hey, that we're here working it out together. So as long as you see me in the bottom, then I'm just expanding you so they can focus on you. That's all.
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I was saying the dissertation is kind of like the thesis for students that graduate with their masters. It's your final work, your final research. And I did mine on a very personal topic. It was the first autoethnographic dissertation at the university, meaning I researched my own case, my own journey. And I did this very intentionally because I was fighting for a physical diagnosis, which was incredibly hard. What a journey, honestly. So the title of my dissertation is Fighting for a Diagnosis When Poor in the United States, the limitations of resilience and access, something along those
Wow.
lines. And so I did
Yeah,
have a
the limitations of resilience and access.
yes. And so
Wow.
I really had to be humble in my journey. In fact, I did horrible in my dissertation defense, but I showed up and there was a lot of inner conflict because I knew what people might have thought of my work, how self centered it was, but it really was needed for me to advocate for myself. And I
Yes.
found, I mean, it's been incredibly empowering in so many aspects. I was aiming for the stars and I got the whole universe out of this. I was, first of all, my friends were telling me nobody's going to accept you in health science, especially if you're doing an autoethnographic dissertation. And I got that approved with an amazing committee that were behind me all the way, very patient. I was going through a lot physically. And then
Mm-hmm.
I was also aiming at getting that diagnosis thanks to having the privilege of being in school, having student loans, being able to research neurology. I was concurrently studying in France, free courses, Coursera, everything about the brain that I could. And it was very new to me. And I
Mm-hmm.
obtained that diagnosis during my dissertation. It was confirmed that it was a demyelinating disease, which was a big win. I had my
Mm.
first access to treatment in Mexico during my dissertation. And little after graduation, so less than a year after graduating, I got the specific diagnosis, which is MOGAD. And
Okay.
it might not mean much to the audience, but if you had known how many times I was very severely disabled, sick, unable to see,
Mm-hmm.
unable to walk, agonizing pain.
Unable to see?
Yes, I would lose my eyesight. And so one of the things that
That's
was very troubled.
scary.
I
It
don't know if you
is,
can tell,
yeah.
but I have an eye that's not aligned. And so I was having seizures and in and out of hospitals
Oh,
with
wow.
TIA symptoms, and everything was always brushed off for mental health. I'm like, how can mental health give me seizures and make me lose my eyesight, making me feel drunk, fall? So I have had a horrible experience in the United States with the healthcare system. Go ahead, I'm
I'm glad.
sorry.
No, don't apologize because I get excited sometimes and I have ADHD, so I'm being mindful. I get it, but it's only because I'm excited because I noticed something that you said there, and I'm wondering, and this is very important because you just said like the United States healthcare system was very, very difficult, if not a nightmare, probably. Um, and then you also said that you finally were able to get treatment in Mexico.
Yes,
So can
diagnosis,
you
treatment. Yeah.
diagnosis and treatment that was that as a result of not being able to get anywhere in the United States? Or did it just so happen that you came across the program in Mexico or something like that?
Well, I was actively searching for all the resources to finalize the diagnosis and get access to treatment, but all I had was student loans. So I had to be very strategic in how that was going to fall into holding a house for me. So for a
Mm-hmm.
while, the UTAP program helped me with a foster and homeless program. So I had a
Mm-hmm.
temporary roof, but I was also occasionally in garages and without transportation. So I had many things to calculate. This is the amount of time I'm given to graduate and figure out my case. And this is the amount of money that I also have access
Mm-hmm.
to.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that was very powerful is that I was constantly complaining about discomfort here, and my dog at the time was licking me, and I would my ear was bothered, and that's something that I kept a documentation of my medical case for
Mm-hmm.
7 8 years. So when I would go to the doctors, they were, oh, it's a swollen lymph node, it's not a big deal. But I was also concurrently having night fevers and seizures, all those things that didn't make sense to not be taken care of. So in December of 2021, I went with one of my friends, a witness, because I had realized that during my latest hospitalization, they had written in my pile of documents that they found a
Mm-hmm.
tumor there, but no one had told me. So I had to read page
What?
by page. I learned how to read my MRI scans. I would go to the hospital, pretend it was for a second opinion, and I studied all this on my own with the classes I was taking for free on Coursera in France. So I realized, wow, I have that documentation that I have complained about this, and the tumor is right there, and no one told me at the
Hold
hospital.
on. Wait a minute. I didn't get that. I wait. That is blowing my mind right now. It was in your documentation, and nobody told you,
Yes,
or
and
or
so
or nobody made the next steps to resolve this issue. Now I'm going
yes,
to ask a question, and it's going to be it may be uncomfortable
go ahead.
for the listeners maybe than for you, but
Mm.
where were you when this happened?
In El Paso, Texas.
That's a problem, El Paso. Like, I
Problem.
mean, that's
It's a
a
problem.
problem, El Paso, Texas. And the reason I ask that is because we have problems that we need to solve. And I'm going to be an advocate for that because there's communication chains, particularly in healthcare, that do not have, are not connecting. And that to me is grotesque negligence. I mean, I am glad that you are here to tell the story. Like, and the reason that I'm really sticking on that is because, that just as much, and that's why I appreciate you. And because, we're all about solutions. I mean, we're not going to, you're the type of person too, that's not just going to sit here and wallow in that. You did not just sit there and wallow in that. You did have that resilience. But again, bringing it back to your dissertation, not everybody has that.
Yes, I have.
Not,
That's why I wanna. Yeah.
yeah.
I was very lucky. I am very lucky and very blessed,
Mm-hmm.
but also, like you said, very privileged. The amount of people
Yeah.
that helped me would not have been so large if my accent had been different, if my last name had been from a different country, if my skin had been darker, if I hadn't had the
Mm,
right words, the cognitive abilities to fend for myself.
that's
And I was
right.
in a very thin line because of when I went through this, I was really cognitively unwell, which is really
Mm-hmm.
hard to hide because I wasn't able to make sense. And I was aware of it, which is also very terrifying. Then
Yeah.
the tumor, a month later, I went to the follow-up. I told them, look, I have a witness. This isn't my paperwork. No one told me, and you have documentation that I've complained about this. So the doctor, oh yeah, it's a swollen lymph node. Sometimes we just don't know. And I told her, what if it's a lymphoma? What if it's pressing against the vein? Sure enough, I was prescribed psych meds and referred to a bunch of other doctors. So I went to Mexico, and a month later, I had that tumor removed. So I have a wound now. But all this was part of my dissertation because there were about 7 medical malpractice cases that happened here in El Paso. And I had to also learn to not hold a grudge and to understand that
Right.
people are victim of the system that we live in. So doctors are
Yeah.
bitter, they are stressed, they don't have
That's
time,
right.
they don't
That's
have
right.
the so it was a lot of things. I mean, but
Yeah.
I learned so much in the process because I learned about my rights. I learned how
Yeah.
to find ways in between the cracks to learn about my healthcare. So
Mm-hmm.
I had chest pains. And in my same hospitalization at the end of 2021, on my CT scan, there was written ACS, acute coronary syndrome, which I have a long family history of that. My dad had 5 bypasses and passed away from this. And same thing,
Mm.
when I went to the follow-up, I'm like, no one told me, but here is a screenshot. Here is the CD that I went and requested and looked into. What do you have to tell me about this? Me, a patient who's not yet a doctor and new to this, right?
Right.
Um, but on the bright side, I feel great now.
Praise God and thank you, Lord, for that. And that is great. And I love and that's something that I really appreciate about you is that, you know, first of all, is that you were able to be resilient, but also that we recognize and that you recognize that there's got to be a better way. And why can't I help to usher in that better way? Why can't, because it's true. I mean, we could sit here and be angry about it and and I say the same thing when it comes to politics or when it comes to like the AI data center being built here. It's like we could just sit here and just be like, oh, this sucks. They're just, or we can connect with our elected officials and we can insert ourselves in the process as much as we can. And so that we can have more of a voice when it comes to how they're going to go about doing these things, and that we can ensure that they're, as much as we can ensure that there's checks and balances. So I love what you're doing, because you intend to bring voice to the voiceless in this system. And at the same time, let's not demonize the medical professionals who are really overburdened in a lot of ways, who are being taken advantage of, and being being cut, being squeezed by our government in a lot of ways right now. And that's why I did a post the other day. It's like, who's going to care for the caregivers? Because they, they need help too. And so one of the things that I'm really working on to see happen here in the borderland, because there's so much money that's going to tech startups right now. Like, everything's going to tech. And I'm like, that's great, but who's going to do it? Who's going to actually perform these services with this technology? And how can we invest in the practices and in the professional development of our medical humans, the humans that are administering? Because just like you said, you can have all the data, and all the software and the hardware, but if the person doesn't tell you, then what matters?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that there's clearly a disconnect, but there's an opportunity there as well. And so I want to kind of pivot a little bit, and also, because we talked about this before I came on, because of course you're a PhD, you did your dissertation in this incredible space to bring awareness. But I did notice, and you also brought to mention that you don't use the PhD accolade or I don't know, acknowledgement title, whatever the case may be. You don't like to use that, and I would love for you to explain a little bit about that. Like, why is that?
Yes. So I do see where if I use my PhD on LinkedIn, I'm going to have more followers and more potential to get my movie funded, to have more support. But it shouldn't be that way. And that's one of the things I'm so hyper aware of. I'm not saying that I will never do it, because I wrote a book, and one of my books, I did include PhD, because it was with mental health, and I wanted some kind of I wanted to be noticed in that way. And when it comes to capitalism, unfortunately, I understand why some of us have to go that route. I am Dr. So-and-so. But in the end, it's a very privileged title. Again, talking about privilege, the fact that I had access to student loans, that I was able physically, and that's so important to me, physically and
Truly,
cognitively,
truly.
and emotionally to be able to
You
finish, right? Yeah, because it's I tend to be very hard on myself, and I'm working on this, because certain things affected us in our past, and I'm a high school dropout. So it was very bad when I was in France. Bad is even controversial, we shouldn't say that, but I wasn't performing in school. I failed 2 grades. I was labeled special ed, at risk. And I recall vividly being that kid that would go to special ed rooms and that would stay after school for tutoring. And while the adults had good intentions, and the rest of the kids perhaps never noticed, so they didn't necessarily bully me for that, I had an awareness that I was less capable then. And so why should I try if I'm less capable then? And the world is about competition instead of collaboration, which is totally wrong, right? I'm making an argument that it should be about reaching our full potential together without having that hierarchy of this person can do better than. That's terrible. That limits so much of our collaboration and community building.
I agree. Yeah.
But but yeah, so I was very hard on myself, and then I realized, wow, I have a lot of friends who might know way more than I do, and they are great public speakers, so they won't mess up during their dissertation. But
Hmm.
I made the choices to try anyway, while living with housing insecurity, while having
Right.
physical bad nights and cognitive issues and severe mental health, all of those layers, and I still did it,
Hmm.
right? So
Yes.
I don't use it because I also don't want to feel that divide. And I was always that way when I was teaching, that my kids or my students would be welcome to call me Josette, Josettita. So they would know that I am no more than they are. They can teach me so much as well, right?
Yeah,
Sorry, I
of
get
course.
passionate.
And they do know. They always do.
Yes, and so that's my side of things. Sorry, I get passionate.
Don't, please don't apologize for that. We love that around here. And and that's the thing. And I'm of the ilk that we need more people like you, like me, who are passionate, who aren't cold and disconnected. That's the problem. Like, our society seems to, that seems to feel like you're cringe if you're just so passionate. And I don't believe that. I believe we need more people that are passionate, because we need people that care in the way that that want to encourage everybody. Now, here, the truth is that not everybody is going to rise to the, quote unquote, rise to the occasion. Not everybody is ready to step into the arena. Everybody's on their own timeline. So we do have to respect that, but you want to create the space and at least acknowledge people for just even being present, especially as a teacher, like you're saying, and not wanting to do that. So you're saying that that that's the main reason that you don't want to use the PhD title in this way. Now, I have a question for you, because you do have a documentary that you're in the process of creating. You have a children's book, which I love. I don't know if you want to talk about that, but if you do, and the reason that I'm passionate, as passionate about as you are about these things, is because I am a firm believer that we need to bring the arts back into STEAM. And instead of it just being STEM, it needs to be STEAM. We need the artists, because that's the humanity of the science, the technology, the engineering, and the mathematics. But without the art, there's no story. It's just a bunch of data points. And then you get things like that. You get the most sophisticated software in the world with a human that doesn't tell the story
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
person. So I would love for you to, talk a little bit more about your book project and your, if your book project or your documentary, whichever one you would like to bring forward.
Oh, I want to talk about everything, Michelle. We're going to have a couple more podcasts.
Oh, we will. But yeah, you can talk about both. Then that's fine with me.
So there
But
is
whichever one you want to start with.
I think I'm going to start by the documentary. So I'm doing this on food stamps and housing insecurity with a PhD. And so I have that vision of getting funded somehow for both a movie and a documentary. One is called Homeless with a PhD. And this I think is an attention catcher, because unfortunately you have so many inspiring stories that did not have the privilege of an education. And so they don't get that spotlight. And if you
Agreed.
did, they might not get that attention. So having lived in between spaces in some ways as well, the
Mm-hmm.
documentary is about my journey and how, if I didn't
Mm-hmm.
have the access to loans and an education, I would still not have the diagnosis. And so
Oof.
it's a brutal reality that we
It
live
is a
in, and
brutal.
it's people tend to blame one another. Oh, look at those people with drugs and alcohol not wanting to work. It's so
It's
easy
not
to
that simple.
judge. You do
It
not know
is.
what is going on into people's head.
No,
And
you
so,
don't. I had a mental breakdown myself. And I told you about that. I, had a totaled truck. And even now I'm like, where was I? I couldn't answer that question. So I know, yeah. So exactly, you never know where people are. So, and so sorry about that, but I
No, no, you
just wanted
can
to
go
amen
ahead. It's
you.
an inspiring story. I want to hear it again, Michelle.
No, I don't want to talk about that. But but I definitely am supporting you what you're saying, because you're right. Like, who are we to judge where people are in any given moment, and especially when you are forced into a very restrictive and oppressive system, just to be frank.
Right, right. So the documentary is to shed light on those 7 medical malpractice that I have no way of getting justice for in the Texas system because of
Mm-hmm.
things are, and I tried. I mean, I reached out to lawyers, but the protections are mad in terms of for doctors and hospitals, and most importantly, the pharma industry at large in the US.
Mm-hmm.
So the documentary is about that journey, and then the movie is a little more personal. It's about my life. So I tend to be happy and driven, but I also have a very, very dark background. I was born in Miami. My
Yeah.
mother was from, her father was from the Blackfoot tribe in North Dakota, and I've always
Yes.
been fascinated by Native American cultures, and so I don't know much about it, but knowing that I have some roots there made me dive into it. And they have a prophecy called the White Buffalo Calf Woman Prophecy, which is what I based my children's book on because I
The
think it's
white
beautiful.
buffalo calf.
Yeah, so they
I love
believe
it.
that whenever there is one that's born, there is a woman who's coming back to Earth to gather everybody, to reunite the world, which is so
Mm,
fractured. So
mm.
it's nice because on one side we have the Bible, which is very patriarchal in nature, and I always felt as a woman that, well, not as worthy, not I cannot be the inspiring one, I cannot be the strong one, I cannot be the one that saves the world, right? As a little girl
Right,
growing up.
right. Which is a flaw. Let's be honest. I mean, yeah,
And
that's a flaw. I mean, that's a flaw in the book. In the story. Of course, is what
right, in the way
I.
that it is portrayed, perhaps, because we do have to
You know what
understand that.
somebody said the other day? I saw on TikTok, and sometimes I get my religion on TikTok. No, I'm just kidding. No, but you find people that pose questions, and they were like the Holy Trinity, and they were like the Holy Trinity should be Father. It should not be Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. It should be Father, Son, and Mother. Like where's the mother? And I'm like that. I believe I never thought of that till like a few months ago when I saw that. I'm like that. There is there that is a great challenge of a question, and I don't think there's anything wrong with contemplating that, because that is very intentional. Why, I think. But then where's the daughter too?
Exactly. So one of the issues that I have with all faith, all religions, is that we tend to accept it as fact, and we are not given the opportunity to question because it's a sin, which is very
Right, because even
frustrating.
I hesitated a little bit talking about it. I'm like, I know everybody's gonna, but no, you're okay. Yeah, absolutely. Keep going. I'm
I'm
sorry.
talking
I got
about
excited.
it. I'm here. And so it's same thing. I'm very vulnerable because I have like some people who are probably watching who are extreme, extremely religious who are like, oh
Yes.
man, we didn't know she felt like that. Oh well, it is what it
Oh
is.
well, yeah,
Uh,
no, and I love me some Jesus. Don't get me wrong. I love Jesus. In fact, I have had personal. Jesus has personally saved me on many occasions in several ways that I could explain on another time. But so everything, no matter my curiosity, I know Jesus Christ very
And me
much.
too. Me too. I can do all things through Christ who strengthen me. So I
Yes,
think
yes,
ultimately I am not here to tell people how to find their faith because I
that's
think
right.
it's a very personal journey, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in my personal journey, I strongly believe that religions are manipulated with specific wordings, some texts that are taken out, others that are pressed upon. And there is always that factor of not questioning because it's a sin. And this does not come from the divine, because
Correct.
you have an
Correct.
intermediary that's speaking to your heart. Why can't we connect directly? I'm just saying.
Exactly.
That's my
Yeah,
that's my take.
I 1,000,000% it's true. It's true. And it isn't, that is a very, it has been presented very oppressively. And quite frankly, we don't have time to play that game anymore. If we want to make, if it, like where we are in the world with our governmental systems, etc., like playing the fallen line and just do as we say, and that if you don't do it the way we say, then you're not the truth, then you're like, we don't have time for that anymore. Like
Yes.
our earth, our world is crying out to us to be the stewards of the land and of the people and of each other, like we're supposed to be.
Absolutely.
And
I agree.
so I agree with it. And the way I look at it, to me, I feel like I feel like if anything is witchcraft, if anyone is a wizard or a warlock, it's the people who made these very screens that they're using crystals and cobalt and natural resources so that 1,000,000 people could be looking at us at the same time. If that's not wizardry, if that's not witchcraft, I really don't know what is. So for me to understand that the divine feminine, it has just as much a place and a responsibility to lead as anybody else. If that makes you consider something wrong with me, then I don't really care, because if anything is ruining our planet at this time, it's a lot of this stuff that we're using, but we can use it for good too. That's the only choice we have, but that's a side note. I digress.
I love it, Nisha. I love it. That's why we got along so well. But yeah, we dived away from whatever we were talking about, because we're passionate about everything,
PhD,
which is awesome.
I know and we should, and that's why I have this platform of 5-star conversations as well, because I want to, you as the PhD, you're creating a nonprofit. I want us to bring the humanity back in everything that we're doing right now, so that we can connect on a deeper level than just transactional, just like, okay, well, I'm going to give you this money and you're going to make me this money. Like, how about we actually try to solve some real problems that humanity is facing, that our neighbors are facing, that our families are facing, that, your story, someone could be watching this and perhaps they're going through a health situation that they need to, be inspired by, that hearing your story will inspire them. Who's to say that one of my family members isn't going to go through that? In fact, I've had several family members that have gone through nightmare situations, and it would have been nice to have been able to log on and see this. So the technology doesn't need to be demonized, but we can't let ourselves be brainwashed into acquiescing our personal power and our spiritual influence, ability to be influenced and be a vessel for God to actually create something better. So what we were talking about, and I do want to make sure that we kind of at least get to a little bit more, is your documentary. So, because I think we kind of started moving away with your book, which is awesome. So basically, let me make sure that everybody's clear on this. So your book is an homage to your bloodline.
Yes, and but it's fantasy, so it's for kids. I am the hero in the story because who doesn't want to be the hero?
Because
But
you
I am
are.
that
You're the hero of your story. You're the heroine. I always say the heroine, the heroine, or
heroine.
the hero,
Yes, you're right.
heroine. And that to me too, because have you heard of the hero's journey?
Yes,
You know,
yes,
Joseph Campbell, The Hero's Journey. Well, I said the hero in journey is the journey within, because the hero's
yes,
journey is like the outs, the you're fighting the dragon for everybody. Well, the hero in journey is also a healing journey for everyone, but it's the hero in, which is the divine feminine. So yes,
yes. That's beautiful.
I love so that's your children's book. Is it already written?
It's already written, but I do have to work on it. I guess the works that is final right now and available is a poetry book,
Okay,
and
great. Where do we
and
find
then
that?
it's on Amazon. I'm not very proud for those who are watching because I try to find publishing houses, but you have to be connected to find ways without money. And
Mm-hmm.
so I unfortunately contribute to a business that I don't support. And I hope that, I mean,
You mean
I
on
don't judge
Amazon?
on Amazon,
Look,
yes.
and that's the thing too. It's so like we have to give ourselves grace, and I understand exactly where you're coming from because I'm over here talking about this. I'm talking about the AI data centers, and do I use AI every single day? Absolutely. So
Hmm.
it's like it's weird because I feel like also there's this tension between being so righteous and we want to, but like you said, the system that we've been born into prevents us from doing that. I mean, even if I work at a restaurant here, they're getting stuff from everywhere else. So either way, I'm contributing. So at least let me try to use the tools as best as I can while I can, and then and it, but at the same time, not just playing the game or using the tools blindly, but I feel like we need to be open hearted and connected to source so that we can find a creative, bigger and faster solution, but not close ourselves off to going through the technology. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, Misha. I am 100% with you because I took a while to publish them, but I also used AI for the cover. And like you
Mm-hmm.
said, I it's very easy to advocate, and we should keep on advocating and educating the world and one another
Mm-hmm.
while showing ourselves grace, because if I don't make it out of my own situation, I cannot help the world. Like right now, I cannot register for the spring semester
That's right.
because I couldn't pay for the fall semester. And whenever I came into the program, I knew this, but I have so much faith and nothing to lose, which is a great place to be because
Yeah.
tomorrow
Yeah.
an investor can see my worth, I don't know, through your podcast for all I know, and see, oh,
Absolutely.
I'll pay UTAP for her because she has so much passion and vision. And I
Right.
do, I really do. So I
You
wouldn't do it
do.
myself.
And I want you to, and I'm glad that you said that, because what I do want to encourage, I do believe I would love for you to be open to get open to, and you probably have already because you're a very spiritual person, but I'm just saying, just from an outsider looking in, um, I feel like you should be, I feel like in this day and age, in this era that we're in, we should use every advantage that we have to be a leader. So I feel like you shouldn't shy away from using your PhD if that's going to help you to, to get investors. Um, the I don't think that I don't feel like that takes away from your authenticity, and that that's just my thought. It's not my place to, I'm not telling you obviously what to do, but I'm saying that in this right now, more than ever, we almost like are in a stage where I'm using every advantage that I have, because I know that not everybody does have that. And somebody needs to be in a place of leadership that's going to actually care about other people.
No, I know you're right, Misha, and I might, like I said, because I do understand the benefits. Oh, if I wear the suit, I'm treated way more different than if I wear
Yeah.
my baggy shirts and pants. I am the same person though, with or without the
Yeah.
doctor, with or without the suit, and it's something that it's a constant positive conflict within myself, and I think it should
Yes.
be a balance of
I do
yeah.
love that about you. I love that. I love that that is a strong principle of you. So, I mean, and that, brings me hope that people feel like that.
Mhm.
And at the same, and at the same time, I'm like, people like us that are empathic and emotionally intelligent, we need to, and we talked about this a little bit before, but and that's why I love Jordan Peterson. And I know Jordan. I know he's. And God, be with him because he's going through apparently a big medical battle that nobody really knows about. But what I was telling you the other day, the reason that I appreciate what he said is that and this is where it comes to the dark, as we talked about. We're very light. We're very light people. Thank you so much for the love. Whoever gave that heart, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Um, but for the light that we are and that we have, and we are very strong in the light, but we do have a dark past, and we do know what it's like to rough and tumble with the devil. Let me just be all the way 1000% frank. I've been to the cave. You know what I mean? I've been in the dungeon. I understand that. But there's a reason that we went through that and still were able to come through the light. And I strongly believe that we're in a space now that we need to, and this is what Jordan Peterson said to bring it back, is like he said, we have to embrace the monster within because this world is monstrous. And
Mm.
we need leaders that are going to be able to hold the light and that dog and have that dog in them at the same time, but still hold the light. And I believe that you're one of those people. You are one of those types of
Thank
leaders,
you.
and with that heart and with that hustle, you got the heart and the hustle. I believe
Mhm.
I'm one of those leaders, and I believe that that is why God brought us together, so that we can do great things and and help be the change in our region, because it always starts with yourself. Everybody, it starts with you. And once you get to your place, then God brings people like brought into your path, like God brought Josette into us, into each other's path. And now we can, because we've been on both sides and we understand that, then that requires, it's going to require us to be, or it gives us the opportunity. It gives us the opportunity to lead in joy and to light the path for others, and to speak the truth to power, and illuminate the dark, the shadows and the dark spots, and where people aren't seeing that they're blind spots, like we are today. So like you talked about with, in healthcare, and it's like, okay, well, we know that we have the opportunity we know that the city of El Paso and our region we know that there are heavy investments happening all the time. How about we figure out how we can invest in training our people to be mindful and giving them what they need so that they can provide better care to people? I feel like that's an incredibly great investment. That's an investment that will pay just as much, if not more, as any tech company investments that we're making. But it's going to take people like you and I who've been through these systems and been on the front line to say, hey, this is a blind spot we need to address.
Yes, absolutely. So many of them. So exciting because we're never bored. There's so much to
No.
change and do. I love it. We were never bored. Through that journey, one of the many blessings that I've got in those past 4 or 5 years is that because I started doubting that effectively it could have been my mental health being so bad, I thought, one, even if it is mental health, I should have been disabled because of how disabling it was. Okay, let's say that it's
Mm-hmm.
complex, severe PTSD. Okay, I can't function, I can't see, I'm falling, I feel drunk. I shouldn't be, I should have a safety net, and we don't have a safety
That's
net.
right.
So that's one of the many things. But in that process, I was like, okay, I need to heal, and no one is going to do it for me. So I'm going to sign up for 5 hours of different therapy with different therapists. And the system is so screwed up because it tells you, I'm so sorry, messed up.
Yeah, no, wait, it's okay.
It tells
Yeah,
you,
we
no,
don't
you
censor
cannot.
around here.
You can see one therapist, only one therapist, once a week. And that wasn't enough for what I needed. I think that it was very important for me to realize I know what I need. And sure, I need to listen to experts. I do, because they have so much to bring up to the table. But I need to listen to my gut's instinct. So
Absolutely.
I had to find the cracks. I lied to every therapist so I could have 5 hours of therapy a week, and 5 different ones. And then I learned about breath work, about meditation, about sunlight, about nutrition, about exercise.
The
And
preventive care, the preventive self-care, the real self-care.
yes. And
Yeah.
so in that process, I can tell all the auditors now, I have been saying for the past 2 to 3 years, and it is relevant every year. I have felt emotionally and mentally better than I have in my entire life, including being a teenager, a young
Same,
adult.
sister. Oh, high five, girl.
And
Woo!
it's
That's a blessing.
because
It's a blessing.
you have
It's a
to
blessing
first
to have
learn how
made
to
it.
spell. Yeah. And
Yeah.
we have to be gentle with ourselves, because how many times did I not do the things I knew I needed to do? I knew I need to get up.
Still don't.
I knew I need some sunlight, but you don't do it because you're depressed, and it's like a vicious circle.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if I did it once a week at first, and then after 3 months of practice, it was twice a week. Now it is 3 times a day after years, and it is so
Yeah.
worth it. But that's why I'm creating the nonprofit for mental health. I was trying
Okay.
to incorporate it into another nonprofit, but that didn't work out, and that is fine, because
Yeah.
I feel that all of us know we need to use positive affirmation, breath work, sunlight, visualizing a future we
Yes.
desire of a safe
Yes.
earth. But even though we know what we need to do, doing it is so much easier when we do it with a community. And
Please preach, girl. You're right.
so,
Absolutely. Yeah.
last but not least, because I do want to help those that unfortunately lack the resources and the help, if we do that with homeless shelters, centers who have addiction issues, they are in rehab, instead of just babysitting, which is what they do, lock them up, but not always. I mean, I'm sure they have some kind of therapy, but incorporate something into nursing homes, people that are left behind.
Yes.
So much with our world. I'm done. Sorry, I'm done.
No, that girl. I could, we could talk for 5 hours, and we will. I know you have some things that you have to handle today, so I don't want to keep you longer. But yes, let's please get together. You and I are going to get together. Is your nonprofit already up and running?
No, I'm trying to figure out a way to do it for free, because that's one of the boundaries I have to jump.
Okay, well, you know what? Because I was thinking of a nonprofit too, so maybe we can get together, and that can be our productive way of working together, moving a little something forward at a time while we are in community.
That sounds beautiful.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, so I also know that you have a GoFundMe that we want to share as well. Can you explain to everybody what that is for, so that we can make sure that anybody that may want to participate and may want to donate and sponsor, that they understand what that's for.
The GoFundMe is to fund my current certification, so I can have a healthcare system / education system that work together hand in hand. And if it doesn't work out, I'm okay, because the universe, God knows what it's doing. So thank you for sharing, though.
Of course, absolutely. So I will pin the GoFundMe link across the platforms. That way you can definitely participate in the journey Josette's journey, and also just the amazing things that she is creating to just bring voice and be the voice of the change that we, quite frankly, need to see and get to create. More importantly, and it does take a person, it takes a human to do it, And so I'm so grateful for you, Josette. I know that you have been blessed and anointed for this work. And it is my honor, and I'm grateful that I was able to share your story with my audience. And, hopefully, well, I know that we will continue to move this needle forward. So thank you so much for coming. Is there anything else that you wanted to end with?
The honor is all mine. Thank you so much, Michelle. And are you gonna cut off my weird laugh from the audio? Oh well, it's live, right? Okay.
What are you talking about?
Because I have a weird laugh. Are you gonna clear that out from the video?
No, we're authentic here. My laugh is crazy too. We want to encourage and the truth is that here, and so do you, because I don't even know what you're talking about. So if that helps you feel better, because I don't even know what I like, nothing's coming up for me about what you're talking about. But I want people, and that's why I am just being myself. I know that I can be overbearing, and I use that word, but my energy and my enthusiasm can be very intense, and that's okay, because I want people to not feel like they have to play it cool in life right now. Like, now's not the time to play it cool. Like, now's the time to get mad about, to use that energy that may go towards anger, but because anger is better to be than depressed. So use that energy that may be cringe to other people, but share that, because you're going to break through other people's barriers. You're going to attract more people. I want everyone to know that, hey, whenever I go to an event, whenever I'm talking to anyone, like talking to someone like you or any other doctor or any politician, because I'll be bringing them on the show. I just met Jackie Butler. Do you know who she is?
Yes. Well, she doesn't know who I am, though.
Right. Well, she will, if you are open to it, because she wants to. I went to an event called the El Paso Leadership Network when was that? I think it was Monday. Yeah, it was on Monday. And I brought up, there, I said, hey, what are we going to do about because they were talking about civic engagement. And I said, okay, well, we have a very obvious kind of elephant in the room. We've got AI data centers being created here, and it just so happened that Anna Lisa from the executive director from Progress 321 had just told us about her civic engagement journey, and she had just told us that when she was younger, she was a part, and at UTEP, she was a part of one of our, another elected official, a senator, I think, that had a 10-year, campaign basically to remove a certain company from El Paso because they were poisoning the air and the water. So she had just told us that story, and she said, yeah, it took 10 years, but we finally were able to get it to where Austin did not renew their permit or whatever. So after that, I said, well, this is a great time to ask, hey, we should probably start early then with the AI data centers, and so we don't have to wait for there to be poisoned for 10 years. How about there's got to be a way? So what is anybody doing about it? So I brought that up, and Jackie Butler said she was very excited to answer the question, and she said, that is one of the big, very important thing to me. I want to make sure that we have the community involved in all of these conversations, and it's something that she is really wants to take a lead in. So of course, and she happened to be sitting right next to me, so I didn't even know who she was at first. So I said, you know what, sign me up. Let me be a part of it, because I could cry about it, and I can sit here and we could, a keyboard warrior about it all day long, or we can connect with our elected officials and we can do something about it. So together we will do something about it. And everyone should feel invited, because it is everybody's space. That was my whole point in going on that whole tangent, was to say that it doesn't matter if you only wear, like you said, if you have a doctorate on your name or you don't. It doesn't matter if you only can afford. It doesn't matter if you're houseless. It doesn't matter if you only wear gym clothes all day, if you wear t-shirts and jeans, or if you dress like if you know how to put it on and you dress to the nines, everyone is welcome here on 5-Star Conversations. Everyone is welcome to what we're doing. Everyone is welcome to, everyone should be able to ask their doctor what is going on with them, and they should not feel any way about it because they are paying that doctor. Even if they weren't, and even if they aren't, the community is taking care of everybody. And so we should, it doesn't matter. In other words, you can have the craziest laugh. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You're welcome here, girl.
Thank you, Michelle. That was a beautiful ending.
Yes, thank you so much. Well, everyone, thank you so much. Make sure, again, you follow Josette Pelatan. And on Facebook, LinkedIn, and on YouTube, I'll again drop the information. And make sure you follow, like, share, and subscribe 5-Star Conversations wherever you're watching this. And always keep rising and shining. And we'll be back soon. Take care and be blessed.